All right, I know this sounds weird, but I actually have a really difficult time beating fish at poker. I just never have any idea what's going on. So today, we're going to research a little bit some counter strategies. Value bet them. Value bet. Just have it forehead. It's fucking bedge. No, there's got to be more to it than that. Well, let's check out YouTube.
So I was playing online poker on a Sunday, and I decided to just fire up a $4 sit and go and put some paper on my screen so I couldn't see my cards and just play it. And the more I play it, the more I realize that you actually don't always need to see your cards. Basically, what it comes down to is that poker is a game of reading people, and the more you play, the more you understand how the betting patterns work and how people think. And once you can kind of get into people's head, you understand more how they play. And that's really what you have to do to become a good player. It's not so much about the cards.
All this studying is useless.
I
No, you
mean,
just can't pump it yourself.
you don't pump it yourself. There's a dude there who does it for you.
You got yelled at. I got yelled at. Straddle. Get the fuck out of here.
Straddle 5.
I'm not yelling at me. Fucking get off my head.
A lot of fucking porn stores in Oregon. Every freaking gas stop you see porn stores. What, everybody jerks off in that state or what?
Dude, what are you talking about?
Oregon.
All right, 2-3-5. We under the gun limps. We look down at ace four of hearts, and we make it 15. Big blind calls, straddle calls, under the gun calls. So we got four ways here. Flop queen 7-4 rainbow, and they check it to me. Here we have bottom pair with a backdoor flush draw, four-way pot. I think betting really small here puts a lot of these guys in a little bit of an awkward spot. The guys out of position there have to worry about check raises behind. So I don't think they get appealed too liberally here with straight draws. So I think we can just kind of bet here for, set up future streets. Big blind folds, straddle calls, and under the gun folds. So I think big blind here can be calling with a lot of just pairs, either queen 7 or 4. Maybe have a hand like 5-6. And he really shouldn't have too much besides that because of the multi-way nature here. Turn is a rainbow ace, and straddle donk leads half pot, which is kind of strange because there really aren't any hands in his range to where this makes sense. If we think he had a queen, a 7, or a 4 on the flop, he shouldn't really be liking this ace ever, unless, he's starting a bluff here with 5-6, trying to push me off a queen, or unless he turned two pair with either ace queen, ace 7, or ace 4. Now as for us, we could try to raise here. I think I think even if we had a bluff here with a king jack, king 10, or jack 10, I think I would still prefer just calling here in position and then launching my bluff on the river. So we're just going to continue with a call here. And river is a 6, completing 5-3 and 8-5, which aren't really hands I expect him to ever have. And he bets another half pot bet here. I do think, I don't know, I think he's really quite polarized here when he donks the turn and then bets the river again. So I don't think there's too much sense to raise. So we just call here, and we chop it up versus ace 4. Okay, we open here with the queen jack go. Big blind defends, flop comes down queen high whatever. He checks, we bet half pot. He calls, turns a banana. He checks, we bet, he folds. Okay, we open the king jack O here. MP fish calls and button fish calls. Flop is queen, queen 4 rainbow. And You know, I'm not a huge fan of c-betting 3 ways out of position here with no... It's just not quite enough equity here with King Jack O here. So we check it, and it checks through. And turn is the King of Diamonds, putting a backdoor flush draw out there. King is going to be really good for our range here. So I think we're gonna plow through here with a 8-chip bet here, 8 into 35. Really cage these guys. The first guy calls and the second guy folds. So the guy in MP here, he called with a guy behind him. So he is going to have a little bit of a stronger range here. He could have a king that he just turned. He could have a slow-played queen. He could have a smaller pair underneath the queens that, you know, is just sticking through. Or he could have turned a diamond draw. And river is the 3 of diamonds, completing the diamond draw here. Given his range that we set on the flop, I don't really think check calling makes much sense, because I mean, he could have a hand like Jack 10 here that he like turned open-ended, and then he could fire a bluff here. But I think more often than not, he's going to have a bit more showdown value, like a stubborn pocket pair or a worse king, or he's just going to have us beat with a slow play queen or diamonds. So I think the best of both worlds here is to go for a block size here, planning to fold versus a raise. That'll allow us to get paid off from those smaller pairs and a worse king. So yeah, we go ahead for the block here. And villain raises us here, pretty small. But the size really doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is just like, I mean, he's never raising worse for value here, given the formation. So, I mean, we only beat bluffs, and I don't really think there's enough bluffs, so we just let it go. All right, 2 limps. We make it 15 here with the queen 10 of diamonds. Under the gun calls and MP calls. I should note MP is like a tournament player. I've seen this guy around. He's a little bit spicy. He's like a super thinking fish. I don't know how else to describe him. He's fundamentals are just dog shit, but he really, really wants to win. Just not enough to actually study the game. Okay, flop comes king 3-3 with 2 diamonds. So we flop a flush draw and a really good board for our range. And they both check, so we just put a baby c-bet here in. We put 9 into 50. I mean, there's really no reason to go much larger. First guy folds, and the tournament player now makes the call. He's second act here, so he does have definitely a weaker range than if he was the first guy to call. So I think he could be floating with a lot of snow here. And turn comes 7 of hearts. Might as well just be an actual banana. He checks it to us, and now we have a decision if we want to continue range betting here or if we want to pull out with a geo strategy. And I think it makes more sense to go geometric here. Just check back all our showdown value and geo our air here and some bluffs. I think when we do that, we definitely want some flush draws in range. And so this hand is not a bad one to slot into the range, given that it has no showdown value. Now, you could argue that in the check back line, turn rivering a queen or a 10 would have showdown value, given the light flop peel that we think he has. So I think checking back to try and like retain our queen and 10 as outs on the river is reasonable play. But I also think like we're just never really getting jammed on here if we go geometric, because like we still have just aces, ace king, king queen in range, to where our opponent like doesn't really have much at all. So I kind of think we could just geo with impunity here with a lot of flush draws. So we go for 55 here, a 55 size, and villain snap jams on us, which is extremely unfortunate since we now torch all of our 9-out equity into a range that we thought we were never getting check raised. So, I mean, nice hand, tournament dude. Nice hand. Now we open the 4-5 of hearts from EP. MP calls and a small blind old man calls. Flop comes king of diamonds, 7 of clubs, 9 of spades. So we flop stone nothing. So, I mean, 3 ways here. We're just going to give this one up. So we just check, check, check. Turn comes a 3 of hearts. So it gives us a gut shot here. Small blind checks. And now we could bet our gut shot here. It still feels pretty dusty here, especially with so many straight draws available, and this is like the nut worst gutty. There is an argument to bet here to clean up against a hand so we don't get cooled off on a 6. If a 6 comes, we get straighted out by 5-8 and 10-8. So you could argue for some sort of large bet here to clean up our 6 out. But I think it's just too thin here multi-way with such a weak draw. So we just check it, and it checks through. And river is the 6, so we river our straight here. And now small blind old man bets 30, which is pretty strong. Small blind old man pots it 3 ways. But we have a straight here. So we're going to raise. So we make it 110. Folds back around to small blind, who now 3-bet jams the river for 165. So after puking in my own mouth, I look at the pot odds and I'm getting about 6 or 7 to 1 here, depending on the day. So we're just going to flick it in here and never be good. Okay, 2 limps. We have the 9-10 of clubs. We lift it to 15. Okay, big blind calls. Both limpers call. 4 ways. Flop comes down 7 of clubs, 6 of clubs, deuce of diamonds. So we flop the entire vault. Both checks. Hijack now donks for 45. And we click to 90. We get double fold, and this guy just rips it in, and we gamble. We gamble those ones. I'm feeling really good about this spot.
I think I'm ahead.
Oh yeah, you're way ahead right now. But
I feel like I
2 pair.
And bricks it.
just amazing. In for 900, out for 600. Just losing a lot of key pots on that one. I was finding some spots, I think. I mean, that 4-5 hand, I don't know. I mean, maybe I should just be c-betting that one down, but I just have no equity. And then maybe bet the turn? Maybe, but maybe that's a good delayed bet. I guess I could bet the turn. I don't know. And then, river, we're just getting cooled out, man. He put in fucking 7% of his stack pre-flop with 10-8 out of the small blind there. I mean, shit.
I walk a lonely